The Switch 2 could be announced next week. So the first rumor stems from an apparently renowned leaker, or at least someone that's posing as them maybe, stating that the Switch 2 dev kits have been here for a while and that they verify it is backwards compatible, but it does have a new cartridge slot and camera feature. They've also said that Final Fantasy VII Remake runs like a PS5 game on the Switch 2, with the port taking no time at all and could be a launch title. Now, that's quite a big statement, but you know, if it is true, maybe the cartridge slot, I mean, I've discussed this in the past anyway, but maybe the cartridge slot is like the DS slot, where it would take, well, the 3DS slot, sorry, where it would take the DS cartridge and the 3DS cartridge, and it could go between them, right? We've seen that with cartridge-based systems from Nintendo in the past. You got Game Boy and Game Boy Advance and stuff that would be backwards compatible with certain cartridges, so it's not impossible. And honestly, it's what I expect to see from Nintendo, and I know there's going to be huge uproar if they don't do this. As for the camera, it's speculated that it is either a VR or AR based thing, right? So VR being virtual reality, if you didn't know, where you put the headsets on and you are like in the game, and AR being augmented reality, where you actually point the camera at stuff and then it makes things happen in real life. Now, this isn't Nintendo's first foray into AR, if it is going to be AR, because the 3DS did have AR capabilities. It even came with AR cards in the box, right? And I loved it. Like, I genuinely loved the AR capabilities of the 3DS, but I feel like it was massively underutilized. It was like, there was a couple of mini games that basically came and launched with the 3DS, and that was basically it. And I mean, we see that with Nintendo stuff. They always like release like some sort of gimmick or a feature that they never then truly utilize. Even on the Switch, we've got the sensor on the bottom of the right Joy-Con. What does that really do? No one's really bothered to program it into games. I know there's a couple, but realistically, on like a grand scale of things, there's not much going on there. But maybe it could be part of this AR or VR sort of thing with the Switch 2, but I'm all for it. I would prefer AR personally than VR, but that's just me. As for Final Fantasy VII Remake looking like a PS5 game, whilst I would love extra horsepower in the Switch 2, and I fully expect it to be more powerful, it has to be, right? I don't think it's going to compete with the PS5, especially when it's still going to be a hybrid system. However, they could potentially do what we've all speculated in the past with the Pro, where they make the dock actually powerful. You know, they actually put some sort of hardware in the dock that then makes it more powerful once the Switch has docked. So handheld, it would be, you know, lower performance, lower resolution, and then when it's docked, it then beefs it up and gives it more power to then play games at a higher resolution or frame rate or whatever. Or it's what I've been wanting for so long now, fully sort of integrated DLSS, deep learning super sampling, right? Where it takes a lower resolution, renders it at that lower resolution, and then it upscales it to a larger resolution. So for 1080p, you could take like 640p or whatever resolution it might be, and then upscale it up to 1080p. So even though if you're playing it natively at a lower resolution, it would look rubbish, the upscaling technology makes it look pretty much identical to the full resolution that you're playing it at, but you've got the performance gains of that lower resolution. And that is something I absolutely want, and they totally need to do for handheld play and docked play, because they could get away with still having slightly less power in the system if it utilized these upscaling technologies, which we're seeing across all platforms. PS5 uses it, well, not necessarily DLSS, but they all have a type of upscaling platform, right? So you've got the PS5 that uses it, the Xbox that uses it, PCs use it, Steam Deck uses it, like everything uses it now. Nintendo, get on board. Next up, Tech Insights have suggested that the Switch 2 will launch in 2024 with a March or April release. Now, this sounds way too soon, but the Switch actually launched in March 2017 and was announced in October 2016. Now, with another rumor stating that a Nintendo Direct is set for next week between September the 11th and 15th, right before the Tokyo Game Show, which Nintendo have confirmed that they'll be attending, this would actually make sense. announce the system right before and show it off during the show, ready for a March or April 24 release. And going back to a rumor we saw before where they were saying that at Gamescom, devs were getting a look at the dev kits and seeing the Switch 2 for the first time. Maybe that was wrong. Maybe it was the press that were getting a sneak peek for the first time, ready for all this, because that would then make sense. Because obviously if it was devs that were getting to see it, they need years before they can actually start making these games for the system, right? They don't need like a couple of months, because obviously if it's going to be slated for early release next year or even anytime next year, these devs are going to need serious time to work on it. So I think that was wrong. Maybe it was a communication or a wrong leak. Maybe it was actually certain press that got to see the Switch 2 under NDA, which means they cannot talk about it. Maybe that's what happened. And if that's the case, then these dates and rumors are all starting to kind of stack up and align. And maybe we could see the Switch 2 getting announced like next week, maybe, and seeing an early release next year. Now, I'm skeptical. I am absolutely skeptical, but all these rumors are kind of starting to stack. They're not so far-fetched anymore, that they are sort of starting to like align. And maybe that's a sign. We are so near some sort of announcement from Nintendo. It's gonna be soon, right? Within the next 12 months that we're gonna hear about it. Whether or not it's next week, I don't know. I would love it. I would love that hype of hearing about it next week, but don't hold your hopes up, take all of this with a pinch of salt. I'm just relaying the news, so don't shoot the messenger, man. But, I am so hyped for the Switch 2. I cannot wait to see what they do with it. I want some sort of upscaling like DLSS, and AR would be cool if it was done right. VR might even be cool, but, I'm still a little bit skeptical on that as well. Who knows? But let me know what your thoughts are, whether you think this is real or not, down in the comments, and we'll find out soon, won't we? Because if by the end of next week we find out, well, then I'll be doing a video going, oh yeah, we were totally wrong, or oh yeah, we were right. So there we go. But yeah, go down there, like this video and subscribe. Check out me and AJ on the podcast channel where we talk about all things gaming, and then check out another video from me down here, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.